Go! Say it. Say it now.
Welcome to the Josh and Josh Talk Everything.
He's choking everyone.
And
He's
nothing
choking.
podcast.
He's choking now. Everyone's joking now. Snap back to reality. Up there goes gravity. Up. Dude, you biffed it, man. That was the opener, and you missed it.
There was a pause. That's all.
You choked.
Dramatic tension.
Yeah, you choked. Dramatic tension.
I mean, hey, we're talking about Slim Jims today.
Yeah.
This is serious business.
Hey, that ain't fair, dude. We're talking about some serious stuff today.
Serious
critical race
business
theory and Slim Jims. Let's not
yes.
undercut. Don't undercut that. But yeah, big show. But first of all, let's not bury the lead. You just choked. You messed up the opener. That was it.
It took me a second. We hit record. And I just, paused out. I mean, hey.
It's okay. We didn't do this. You did, but we didn't do this. It's just important we clarify.
I'll take it. I'll take the hit. Josh did it. Josh didn't do it. Josh did it. So
that's right.
That clarifies everything.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to Pangea. Loaded show, critical race theory and Slim Jims. Let's just get right to it. Critical race theory. So I feel like a lot of people, they hear this and it's kind of like we talked about in our last podcast with the whole, defund the police, how it's kind of some mismarketing. And I feel like some people may not understand the full concept of critical race theory. So Josh, lay it out for us. Critical race theory, layman's terms, someone that doesn't know anything about it. How would you describe critical race theory? What's actually the theory itself?
Right. So there's two sides to this coin, kind of. Critical race theory is, first, it's a theoretical framework started in the 1980s by legal scholars to explore and explain how racial disparities exist within our society and how that is ingrained in some of our laws and policies. What we're doing with that is we're thinking systemically, not personal, like bigotry or, on the
out in the open where you see segregated lines, separate water fountains. It's
well, that's the
hidden
systemic,
institutionalized,
things like that.
Yeah.
Not so much just your bad uncle or something.
Right.
We're thinking about that. We're thinking about how it's been enshrined into law and policy. But also. And what most people are talking about nowadays when you hear critical race theory, you see Tucker Carlson, yelling about it. It's usually how to teach kids these days about race and racism just in general society. So that's what most people are complaining about now when you hear people at school board meetings yelling or talking about it. That's generally it is like, what are we teaching K through 12th grade? It's really, I mean, what that really is all, as far as I can tell, is just an accurate, full telling of American history. I mean, a lot of people will tell you, and this is, Fox News and certain politicians and whatnot, they use this to rile up their fan base, and just be like, oh, I'm going to, Trump was just recently at a rally talking about, he wants to ban critical race theory, this and this and that. And it's just a term that's bandied about that no one really seems to understand. And they'll make claims that it's like, it's going to make white kids feel guilty. It's telling you
and
that
let's let that breathe. That it is an uncomfortable concept. And it is one of those things where it does sort of, those with privilege, it does pull you back to the starting line and really kind of keep things in check. But I think that's the reality of the situation, and we should know the whole history, not just the history we know.
Right. Well, the thing to keep in mind is that critical race theory itself does not espouse that. It does not specifically say, like, you should feel bad because your ancestors did this, or that, one race is better than another, or that everybody's racist. But these are talking points that you might have heard if you've tuned into right-wing media. I'm just being honest here. So I just wanted to dispel that and get that out in the open. All it really is it's partly based on the 1619 Project. And like I said, all it is really just a fuller retelling of American history. I mean, were you ever taught about Black Wall Street in school? I wasn't.
So I in my high school, I was given the option to take electives, and so I actually took an African American Studies course.
Oh, very interesting.
I'm that's how I am every day. I like to try to learn something new, and it was a course that was offered, and I was just sort of gravitated toward it. So yeah, I actually had heard about some of this ahead of time. So yeah,
but you can imagine that most kids probably aren't. Like I wasn't specifically, and I know that I can imagine, in a lot of, different regions of the country, it's less or more. But just things like that. Yeah. And so, like, there's not much else you could say. It's just telling you the truth. It's just explaining how slavery happened, what happened after slavery ended. It's filling in the gaps between like Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks and Malcolm X. It's filling in like everything else that you don't hear about.
Yeah,
and
I think that's what some people. And I'm glad to see that when we have Black History Month, and I really I'm glad we dedicate the month. But remember, it is a year. It should be all year.
Yeah,
we shouldn't just be focused on it once during the month. Although it's nice to have a focus month, it is something we should, or as far as something that should be celebrated all year long. But I feel like in some of our histories, especially when you look at that, it's like I feel like okay, American, Abraham Lincoln emancipated slavery, and then from there, everyone was able to sort of apply for jobs and then sort of start their own company if they wanted to. We're all created equal at that point. We're moving forward. We had some bumps there in the 50s and 60s, but we had the civil rights movement, worked it out, and here we are. Everyone's on a fair, level playing field,
right?
And it's kind of like now we're in this sort of woke movement where we realize, well, actually, no. It's a little bit more different than that because it's still primarily white. The white communities had more privileges than other as far as minorities. I actually think I mentioned this before. Some people say, well, everything's equal. You got to work for what you want in this country. Bottom line is that there's little things that when a white person, their parent passes away, they're probably going to have some type of inheritance. As a minority, you may not have that. And that's something right there. It's like it's a generational,
generational wealth,
right? Exactly. And it's that's where we have to close that gap as well. But I feel like in some ways we tell ourselves these stories that we kind of move through this, and now we're having this woke moment where it's like it's good, and we need to have this moment where we sort of realize, step back, take stock, what's going on, and make sure we course correct this, for moving forward.
Right.
I kind of feel like with Thanksgiving coming around the corner, I feel that kind of same way too about our history of Thanksgiving. It's sort of like, as we understood, it was about, the Pilgrims and Indians got together and had this giant feast and everything was fine.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of know that's not exactly what happened.
Not so much, yeah.
All right. So I feel like there's some things in our history, specifically U.S. history, but I'm sure you could point at any history of any country and they probably do the same thing.
Yeah.
It seems like there are some of these gaps, and I think it's important that we show all of the history, not just one piece of history.
Yeah.
Because and that's the thing. It still holds true. Those who do not know history are doomed to repeat it. So we should know as much history as possible, right?
Absolutely. That's what always bugs me about America is like, every country has a dark history, but some countries are a little more willing than others to accept it and address it and try and even make amends. I mean, trouble is that America just tries to cover it up and fancy it up so fucking much. They drowned you under red, white, and blue nonsense. And the fact is, like, America's last in a lot of things. We're not number one in education or poverty or anything. But we pretend as a country, the media and everybody just wants to pretend that America's so fucking great. So any kind of thing that's not like Yankee Doodle Dandy, fought the British and saved the day and everything's hunky dory, everybody gets upset. And
which is a bummer because I think that when you see what opportunities we have and if you overcome it, that becomes even greater history because then people are like, well, look at everything you've overcome.
Right.
Instead of just kind of, whitewashing, for lack of a better word, I'm just saying, instead of just kind of making things look like, hey, everything's fine.
Right.
Why don't we acknowledge what's going on with the country? Why don't we acknowledge these problems, not act like they're not happening?
Well, that's the thing. Isn't the true, they talk about being a patriot, right? Wouldn't the true patriot be the one that I love this country so much that I want to fix the glaring fucking problems as opposed to just pretending that everything's perfect? Isn't that the true patriot? The one who wants to improve the country? They care about it that much? Like, and coming back to, critical race theory, this is basically part of like trying to make amends, trying to repair shit as best as you can. I mean, you can only do so much. It's been, too long, obviously, and so many people are so fucked because of it, but you can at least educate the next generation and be like, hey, this is what happened. This is why shit is the way it is. Here's how you can maybe recognize that. Yeah,
and it's an uncomfortable topic. I get, and I remember the first time I learned about slavery, 4th or 5th grade, maybe 5th grade, and I remember the teacher was explaining to it what happened that part of our history, and then asked us all to close our books, and then said, "All right, now I'd like your attention. What happened in our history was none of your faults." And just for context, she was African American. But I remember like hearing that all of a sudden, like, oh my gosh, what? Like there's slavery? Like there was, and I remember like looking around the room and everyone's looking at each other like it was really weird. Like we had not, because this is before, this is before the internet. My parents never told me about slavery. So this was the first time I'd really heard about this. And I was like, oh my gosh. But she explained that, you had nothing to do with this. This is part of our history. And I think that's where by us trying to hide it, it's like we need to get it out in the open and understand it.
Yeah,
and that, that's why I'm for the theory. As far as I'm fine with teaching it. To me, it shows all of our history. We should know where we came from, and this can change things moving forward. This will give this will actually I think build a lot more empathy into our communities. Yeah, which is what we need.
Yeah.
And I think empathy is a really huge thing we need, and we're really lacking, especially in this country nowadays, and in this world, to be honest,
right?
Especially in our country.
Exactly. Well, what I like about it is it's fact based. It's not just some touchy feely. Oh, empathy for each other, love, open your heart. This is like, I mean, I don't feel guilty because this is just facts of things that happened, things I didn't have anything to do with. They're just listing the facts. I mean, they're not telling you how to feel about anything. They might, The thing also to keep in mind I want to mention is that all the material, whatever grade it's being presented to, is going to be tailored for that age group. Right. So like you get, again, I'm going to dispel these myths that Fox News puts out that it's going to be some heady shit that's going to be way too heavy for kids and they can't handle it. No, it's going to be.
I mean, slavery is some heavy stuff.
It is some heavy stuff,
and people are learning that in 4th or 5th grade, right? Like that's heavy stuff.
Yeah, but like you're not going to go into all the atrocities specifically at 4th grade. You're going to explain, slavery was a thing and it's fucked up and it's bad. You don't have to feel guilty about it, etc. But so like whatever it is, they're going to tailor it to the age group. So I just go for it. You know what I mean? Like it's fact-based. This is what really happened. This is history. Why the fuck do you have a problem with, not you obviously, why the fuck does anybody have a problem with an accurate retelling of history? I understand that you might feel bad about it or it's just it's difficult, but it's like if you didn't have anything to do with it, the only thing you can do is moving forward, recognize what happened in the past. Don't repeat those mistakes. Hey, guess what? I'm already making a difference. I'm not doing any of this shit,
Right. Well, this is how we get everyone. Our message for true equality is that everyone gets a seat at the table. Everyone gets a seat at the table. We're not taking seats away. Yeah. Everyone gets a seat at the table. And the way that's done is everyone gets a voice. And so, there's going to be some uncomfortable things. And there's going to be some different perspectives, but we need to hear these different theories and we need to hear different pieces of history. And again, that's what makes it more comprehensive. And when we know where we came from and think about doing this as a person, anyone out there listening to, listening as a person, focus on your personal history, because then once you have your history straight and your soul straight, then you can move forward with your future. You can't always live in the past, but once you got your past taken care of, you can learn from it and then use that to, as far as to course correct and move forward. Right. Yeah. But again, I think about critical race theory. This is something that if you don't have the knowledge of, you're not going to understand what's going on, and you're going to have a different perspective of things, and this creates actually a negative spiral towards a lot of bad things. So
I think people discount like how much it matters, like what the average Joe on the street believes is true or false. You know what I mean? Or real or follows. Like you said, it spirals out. It does affect everybody around you. The only way to combat that is through facts.
Well, the other thing too is, and I forgot who said this, maybe Frederick Douglass, bashing the quote, but basically, the best way to get over fear is through education.
Right.
And I forgot who said that, but that's perfect. I mean, right there, you're scared of something, but I have found in my life when I learn more and more about something, I'm not as scared, whatever that topic is. Every day, I actually listen to a different TED Talk. I try to pick a TED Talk that is from someone that is completely different from me. So I'm looking like some of the different race, different gender, different mindset, different philosophy, and a different topic I've never even heard anything about. I'm trying to focus on those things because I want to see their perspective. And to me, the more perspectives you have, the more traveled you are, the more opening you are to listening. It's good because you actually take a lot of good things in, and that can make you a better person. So again, the critical race theory, I'm not sure I understand the argument against it. I'd say if it is actually part of our history, let's get it out there. Let's get people. Let's make it part of our history, because again, there's no reason to hide our history. We just need to fix our future, but we can't do that if we're hiding our history.
Right. Well, here's the thing. You said you're not sure why there's opposition. Logically, it doesn't make any sense, right? So let's look at the people who are opposing it. Honestly, it's a lot of right wingers. They're just going off on misinformation, basically. It's that any kind of fear of change is also a problem. But I think the bigger part of it, And the reason folks like Tucker Carlson and certain politicians push, an end to critical race theory is because if more people knew about the way racism has fucked so many people and it's been enshrined into law, if more people knew about that, the politicians and everybody would have to take a much more active role in changing those rules. That could really shake up the status quo.
Yeah.
If gerrymandering laws were fixed, if we really did something about redlining,
voting.
Things.
I mean, really, when it comes to voting, it should just be you throw a darn vote in a mailbox and that's it.
Yeah.
But now there's all these restrictions to pull up, and it's just like it's why? Why are you? And I've always said this before 2020, and I was telling my wife, I'm like, I don't think it's going to be a different. I watch this. They're going to do the mail-in stuff. It's not going to have a difference.
Yeah.
And I was wrong. It appeared. It appears like actually, yes, it does benefit more, Democrats to do mail-in votes. So then it's like, then I get kind of now why the conservative side would, not want to have mail-in votes. It sounds goofy, but I'm just like, I never thought it was an issue.
Right.
But then I saw, I'm like, oh, geez. But I guess, I don't know. To me, it's like if more people are, as far as liberal than conservative, I think that's maybe how our country needs to go then.
Historically, most of our country is more on the Democrat side of things. And that's the thing. And I've seen interviews with Republicans, and they basically hint at the fact that like they have to do these dirty tricks because their ideas are so unpopular. Now we could sit here and debate conservative, ideology and everything, but this is just how the voting goes. You know what I mean? This is just the facts of the matter is most of the country is more liberal, more Democratic, more likely to vote for Democrats. And the only way they can win is these dirty tricks. So you get like, gerrymandering, and you get like voter ID laws, and you get like trying to slow down mail-in voting, and you get trying to suppress the black vote because, hey, here's the thing. Statistically speaking, black folks vote Democratic. So that's why you see less polling places in black districts sometimes. Just longer lines, less ability to vote because they know that, statistically speaking, African Americans vote Democratic. So, yeah, it just comes back to more dirty tricks from the Republicans going into their playbook. It fires up their base, and it also is fortuitous for them to keep people uninformed about the situation as it was, and so that laws don't have to change, so that policy doesn't have to change. They're very clever. They're really good at what they do because they're diabolical. You know what I mean? And even though you have the facts on your side, they're going to get people in their feels because people feel scared. People,
right.
A lot of, look at like the average Trump supporter. The average Trump supporter, I would say it's fair to say they're against critical race theory because they've been told by people like Tucker Carlson that it's bad and that they're going to make your kids feel awful and that, they're going to say, that white people are terrible.
And honestly, when we learn some of our history, we should feel bad about it. But that's where the learning comes in. Again, when you know your history, you don't repeat it. So I there's a lot of things I don't want to, learn about history. Like, for God's sakes, the Holocaust. I don't want to learn about that. But like,
right.
Again, these are things that you want to, this is why you need to be open to other ideas, prevent anything as atrocious as that happening again. So same situation, like critical race theory, I think it's spotlighting, it's opening that light and showing, hey, here's some information you probably need to know. Again, it's going to build that empathy. And I think what we need to know as a people, in order to build a sense of community, because that's something else we really, in addition to empathy, is having a sense of community. We really lack those two things. And I think that would probably solve about probably about 60% of our problems if we had that.
Yeah, I'd say so. I know that there's always going to be some kind of conflict between humans, but at least make it about something that's real. Race and racial differences are basically a social construct. They're not like a real thing, generally speaking. At least if we're fighting over resources or land or something real, but like let's fucking get rid of this stupid racism nonsense. I mean, when you really break it down, it's dumb as fuck. It is. It doesn't make it's just this stupid ancient tribal way of thinking of like, he looked different from me scared.
Well, that's the irony
get the fuck over it.
And that's the irony of Pangea, if you think about it, is that really the continental divide is what divided us. Now, just imagine a world where there wasn't the continental divide, and we were all one. We're all Pangea.
Right.
Now, there could have been a North versus South thing, or maybe
would be the
East
thing,
versus
right?
West,
Yeah.
or it could have been, the haves and have-nots. We won't know. We'll never know because that's not how our world's set up. But,
Sure.
again, it's something to think about. Like, we all really came from one land at one point.
Right.
And even if here's the thing, whether you believe in creationism or evolution, we all came from something. We all came from one thing.
Right.
So we either came from God or we all came from some tadpole from the lake that decided to come to the bank of a shore and then decided to crawl a little bit and then evolved. And then here we are watching Netflix on our fat ass on a Saturday night now.
We won the genetic lottery.
Right. So that's what I'm saying is like we actually all kind of came from the same source, you know, one way or another. So that's where I'm just saying like we should celebrate the victories and really pay attention to our downfalls and of each race. You know, and that's what makes our collective history, because it shouldn't just be you know Black history. It should include Hispanic history, and then as far as women's history, this should all be part of our history. You know, it shouldn't just be we teach U.S. history and then everything else we have these special months for it. We should be teaching all this stuff all year long. And again, I think we should dedicate the months and make sure that you know we are looking at women's history or our spotting African American history. I'm fine with all that, obviously, but my point is that should still be integrated within the regular flow of history year long, you know, year round.
Well, we're all Americans, right?
Right. That's a situation I think we need to ultimately add in. And it was, again, I mentioned before, we're trying to hide this, but if we want to fix our future, we got to stop hiding our past. We have to acknowledge our past, and then we can fix our future.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I think critical race theory just suffers from bad PR, just like defund the police. Black Lives Matter, people who don't look deep enough to understand what those words really mean. And they just jump to conclusions, whether it's based on fear or guilt or just wanting to keep the status quo. All critical race theory is it's just the facts. It's a true history. It's just information. And it's going to be tailored to, you know, if they're teaching it to your kids in whatever school, it's going to be tailored to them. It's not going to be too heavy for a first grader if they're in first grade, et cetera. Like, well,
and again, we just also need to understand it is uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable regardless of how you tailor it.
But I mean, I feel like if you introduce it slowly at a young age, and you grow up with understanding and then you take more and more, I feel like the next generation of kids who are exposed to that at a young age maybe won't have quite the same reaction of guilt as they are just like of instead spurning them to action to take, you know, to try and combat this problem and at least recognize it.
And especially the support of the parents too. You know, it's one of those things that like in my household with my 1-year-old, we're making sure to you know, as far as have as many experiences as possible. So when we're setting up for our holidays, we celebrate our holidays basically Halloween through Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So we want to make sure all those holidays are recognized. We're, you know, even though we don't traditionally celebrate Hanukkah or Kwanzaa, we're going to acknowledge that. We're going to have some decorations around our house for it, and we're going to talk about it. And so he knows about that growing up. And again, just it's not about being tolerant. It's about, you know, being accepting and being exciting. I would say, you know, I hear people say, don't be tolerant of other cultures. I would say get excited about learning about someone's culture. It's something you probably don't know. And your culture itself has probably thousands of years of history. So does theirs. Let's learn about that. And guess what? I mean, it could be an awesome thing. And that's how I think we grow. We move forward as a true people. Well, you know, we can share those stories and stuff, you know?
Well, I mean, we live in this world with Jewish people who celebrate Hanukkah. People who celebrate Kwanzaa. Like, why not learn about it? You live in this world with these people, you know? Like, learn, you know?
And that's exactly what I'm saying before, you know, with critical race theory, like, you know, just Google a little bit if you gotta. Make sure you Google the right stuff. Is there a good site we could refer people to for, you know, critical race theory? Like if they wanted more.
I mean, when I did my research, I looked at PBS NewsHour information. You know, I stayed away from Fox. I didn't even use my regular like Young Turks or progressive media specifically. I just went to like on YouTube. There's like it was a professor from Berkeley who was being interviewed from PBS NewsHour. There's a short version and a long version on YouTube. Just find that she lays it all out very, very well. Her name escapes me, but you will find it.
All right. So, you know, again, it'll be uncomfortable, but all history is not comfortable, and it's meant to be that way because it's history, and hopefully we're moving away from it to fix our future and make things better for the next generation. So,
well put.
Well, hey, man, it was that's where we're heading with that. So, but you know what I got to do?
What's that?
I got to snap into a Slim Jim.
You need a little excitement?
Snap into it. Dude, I had never heard. See, here's the thing. I come from somewhat of a humble background, and we're never allowed to buy, you know, as far as the Slim Jims are like, that's something really expensive. I think what I got was like the Mito beef on a stick or something. It was usually for like 2 for 49 cents or something. But I remember always looking up and seeing that Slim Jim at the top rack and like, I want that. I want that. And of course, Macho Man, being a pro wrestling fan, and Macho Man Randy Savage being one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, or of any dimension for that matter. Yeah, it was just, you know, I was instantly drawn to that. But so yeah, I actually have not had a Slim Jim for a while. I've been vegetarian for about a year now or so. But I mean, come on, dude. Slim Jim, it's got about everything you need, right? Like, what are your thoughts? Like, it's a good thing to have, right?
I'm a big fan of Slim Jim.
How often do you eat them?
That's the thing. I try to limit myself to like maybe just a couple months, honestly, because they're terrible for you.
Really?
Like
I thought they were good for you. That's incorrect.
So those health reports by Dr. Jim are a little questionable. No, I mean Slim Jims are, as you know, to anyone who doesn't know, Slim Jims are meat sticks. They are actual meat.
Well, Soylent Green. It's made out of people.
Like I always say, I always wondered what the other Soylents were made out of. You know, if Soylent Green was people, what was like Soylent Orange? Anyway, beef, chicken, and pork, but they're the worst fucking cuts of beef, chicken,
mechanically separated, right?
Mechanically separated. I think the chicken is pureed or whatever. So it is technically real meat. As Wired said in their article, it's meat, but it's not Kobe. You know,
it's just leftover stuff from the cuts of the day,
like
and they it's probably
cuts.
bones. There's probably bones in there too, and stuff.
Probably
just minced down.
Probably all kinds of stuff. So there's the beef, chicken, pork, sodium, lots of sodium nitrate, and dextrose.
Yeah, I think so. So per stick, I believe it's 7,000 milligrams per stick of.
It's 1/6. I don't know what the number is.
I'm just making that up, but I'm sure it's
1/6 of your sodium intake for the day.
Oh my god!
And we're talking about the regular size Slim Jims, not the monster long ones.
Oh my gosh! The yard long one.
Yeah. Oh god, can you imagine? That'd be amazing. Like it just comes on a wheel and you just pull it out. So yeah, that's why I try not to eat too many Slim Jims. But when I want something obnoxious, because like I'm not a sweet guy. I'm more of a salt guy.
You like chocolate?
So, I do like chocolate, of course, but if I'm like got a snack, I'm like it's like peanuts, beef jerky, Slim Jim every now and then if I want to stop my heart for a minute.
Right, like when you're hungry, like it's nice to have like something hearty, like a beef stick, like having like a Hershey's bar is like, well, yeah, but I'm still hungry. Right. You know, like a Slim Jim, you actually felt like you ate something. But
well, that's why it was started. It was invented by Adolf Levis during the Great Depression, and he used to have like a little food stand, and he would like the snacks of the day were like pickled eggs and like peanuts.
Yeah.
So he wanted something a little more substantial. So he settled on like pepperoni was big at the time. So he settled on like little beef sticks of pepperoni and. It's undergone a lot of changes throughout the years. It became a bar snack, and it was in a jar in vinegar.
Yeah.
At the bar, and then
isn't that weird? People used to do like you'd sit at a bar, you'd eat peanut. Everyone eat peanuts out of the same bowl like it was nothing.
That I would always request new peanuts if I went to the bar and had that because like
you.
Well, because like
you would actually request it,
and they're got their nasty hands on them.
Right?
Like, can we just get new peanuts? And they're like, yeah, you know.
Wow.
This was at a bar. I was, they knew me. I was
okay. I just thought you'd like, excuse me, I need to swap that. I'm like, wow, you actually asked? Jeez.
No, but I mean, you don't want somebody's nasty fucking hands on your.
Well, I mean,
peanuts,
are they changing the bowl too?
Well, just
I see you got it's all over you now.
All right, doctor. Other facts about Slim Jims. For a period, they had a mascot, which was a man named Slim Jim in a top hat, and like think Mr. Peanut.
Yes.
As a human.
Yep.
Do you remember this?
Yeah. Yep.
Very brief.
Yep.
And then they, of course, went to what I think everybody remembers. You were talking about before, Macho Man in the 90s.
And a few wrestlers, like Big Daddy Cool Diesel, Bam Bam Bigelow, Ultimate Warrior. Was there anyone else?
You said Edge, I think? Was
Edge, yes. That's right. I did tell you in pre-show. Yeah, Edge was like the latest to have done it. But yeah, it was like 15 years ago, I think. But yeah, Edge did do it.
But those, I think there were like 23 commercials Macho Man did himself.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he was later enshrined as a, I think it was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive action figure of him dressed in the Slim Jim gear with the Slim Jims in his hand. I want that fucking figure.
Dude, I know a guy that's got it, so.
Do you? Yeah?
Yeah.
Is it the guy I'm thinking of?
It's the guy you're thinking of.
All right, well, good for him.
Heck yeah, man.
So you'll give me the address and the keys to that place, right?
Yeah.
Slim Jim, man. And then what's up?
No, to say, do you ever use condiments with your Slim Jims?
No, I've never tried it. I've tried microwaving Slim Jims, thinking like it's a sausage. It doesn't do well. It does not do well. It gets hard and nasty. Don't heat up your Slim Jims. But while I was doing research, I found somebody on YouTube with a compelling idea about Slim Jims.
Okay.
Slim Jims have that skin around them.
Mm-hmm. The casing.
You can actually peel it off. And the guy kept calling it plastic. It's not plastic. But try a Slim Jim peeled, and you'll find if you have all right, I got to go on a tangent here in the middle of this, right? fresh Slim Jims. There's a big difference. Here's the thing. I think there's an epidemic of stale Slim Jims out there because their shelf life officially.
Yeah.
The official shelf life of a Slim Jim that they claim is not accurate, if you ask me. A fresh Slim Jim, I don't know what the full length is, but a fresh Slim Jim, you check the packaging. If they're vertical, look at the bottom of the sausage. If you see a lot of orange grease, that means that it's been on the shelf for too long because the grease, it soaks through to the bottom.
Okay.
And then you get a nasty, dry Slim Jim. You want a nice, fresh Slim Jim. You can also tell a Slim Jim if it's fresh. You take it and you just kind of massage it a little bit. It should be nice and soft, not hard or crunchy. No. So once you get if you get a nice fresh Slim Jim and peel it, you got yourself the best Slim Jim experience you can get.
You're like a Slim Jim whisperer. Like a soothsayer of some sort, like, listen, this is awesome. I never even thought, I remember I've bought those before. And the reason why I buy the ones with the grease at the very bottom is that I'm excited to eat the meat and I'm excited to drink the grease at the very bottom.
Oh my gosh.
I do that.
Oh my gosh. You are bad.
Well, I like I said, I've been vegetarian for a year now, but I have eaten some crap in my life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, me too. I'm a trashy eats kind of guy. I actually went on to the Slim Jim website and took a look at all the flavors of Slim Jim. Let me tell you, I thought I knew a lot about Slim Jims.
Yeah.
I knew nothing. My God. And these are just flavors that are in current production, not even stuff that was like discontinued. Like I've tried original, mild. I've tried Tabasco. It's okay.
Yeah.
But they also have teriyaki, dill pickle, sweet and hot, cracked pepper, turkey, cheesesteak, buffalo style. Like it's crazy, like this deli style. What the hell's deli style? Like, it's so crazy.
I guess that'd be like New York style, like pastrami style, maybe? Like,
yeah, maybe it's a little more pepperoni-ish or something. Like, Sonic chili cheese coney dog flavor. Like Sonic restaurant.
Dude.
Yeah, like that's...
I didn't know about that one. That sounds awesome.
Right? So I was looking online trying to be like, well, maybe I can order like a few from something or pick them up or something.
Get them directly. Get some fresh Slim Jims directly from Amazon. Maybe.
Yeah, like that was the idea. Like, and I looked up like the dill pickle because I was curious about that. You have to buy a 24-pack of them and it'd be $60. I don't know what the deal is. So like I went on, on the website, on Slim Jim's website, there's a buy it now button next to all the flavors, but the problem is it's just a store locator.
Oh.
And like and nothing in my area has it. So I'm just like, damn it. Like I Slim Jim, I know you guys are listening to the podcast right now. I just know it. So you need to have like a variety pack of all your flavors. Like give me like 20 flavors or something.
I would pay a subscription. Like a monthly subscription.
That would be kind of fun. I think, you need to really step it up. But hey, speaking of stepping it up and speaking of flavors, did you know they have Slim Jim Premium now?
What? What's Slim Jim Premium?
Yeah, like I guess it's like nice. I looked online. Nobody by me has them right now, it seems. But
it's Kobe, right? Is it Kobe or Wagyu or something like that?
I mean, maybe they'll have that eventually. Right now, it's pork, and they're telling you it's 100% pork, no hormones. They're calling it a pork sausage.
Okay.
It looks nice. It looks like it's just like real sausage, sticks instead of like the reconstituted Slim Jim stuff. So I think we might have to do a real brief follow-up if I can get a hold of these Slim Jim Premium because I'm really intrigued.
Dude,
so I mean,
here's what we need. We need an Impossible Slim Jim.
I'd
like
love
an Impossible
to see
burger.
that.
Like it's not a vegetarian. It's not a veggie burger per se. It's an Impossible burger. It tastes just like a real burger. It's all plant based. Right. That's what they need one of.
Like, I wonder how would that work? Like,
but that actually would cost them money because it doesn't. I don't think it costs so much money to make Slim Jims. I think they're just sweeping up crap from the floor and putting it in plastic.
Right. You're taking trash and you're turning it into treasure.
Yeah. That's right.
But yeah, see that's what I wonder about. Like, would they make the meat and then smoke it, or would they just go straight to some kind of artificial smoke? Because I mean, it's all faked up. So like, why not just jump to the end? I don't know. I wonder what would be better.
I don't know. And one other thing I don't want to bury the lead here. I think condiments should be tried with Slim Jims. I think barbecue sauce and ranch.
Well, there is a honey barbecue and a tangy barbecue variant of Slim Jims already. They also have nacho cheese flavor Slim Jims. When you want like obnoxious fucking flavor, go for the nacho. Mustard, I think, might be good on like the deli style.
What would happen if you ate Slim Jims like every day for the rest of your life?
Your life would be very brief, but that would be a very good week.
Really, just you only live 1 week. You think?
God, I mean, how many Slim Jims would you be eating a day? I mean, my God.
Like, what if you had like 50?
50. It's funny you say 50 because there's a line in The Simpsons where Lisa's talking to Nelson the bully.
Yeah.
And she's like, deep down inside, what's inside you? What do you feel inside you? He's like, I don't know. Black stuff, about 50 Slim Jims. But, 50 Slim Jims a day we're talking.
Yeah.
You would, God, I can't imagine. Like, if that's all you ate, and then you ate, what would you drink? Like a big cup of butter?
Yeah. 2 liter of Coke or something?
Jesus, you would be on Maury or something very soon. Like, that's... I try and do it like just a couple times a month.
Well, so 50 might be exaggerating. What if I had say 46 a month?
You'd be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. I don't think it's one of those things where I always tell people, hey, YOLO, we're all adults here. You know what you're eating. But yeah, I don't think those things are good for you.
Oh, they're terrible.
They're really not good for you.
So much. It's 1/6. Like I said, it's 1/6 of your salt intake for the entire fucking day. And I've eaten 4 of them sometimes in one day, and I'm, like.
I heard a BS. I'm pretty sure it's a BS fact, but someone is saying like every time you have a hot dog, it takes 36 seconds off your life.
I heard that too. I don't know. Like how some people can read into a certain studies and kind of rephrase it. I don't know how the validity of that.
Yeah. But if that's the case, Slim Jim must take about 4 days off your life. Everyone,
if it's four crappy days towards the end, that's not so bad.
Well,
for a Slim Jim, like nacho flavor. Ooh. Oh, hey, talking about Randy Savage. Going back to Randy Savage, the Monster Slim Jim. Have you ever tried that one?
That's the big one, right?
That's the 3 times as large as a regular.
I've had something. I don't know if it was Slim Jim. I feel like I've had a long one before, but. No, have you have had it?
I have had it.
Is it good?
It's weird because it's almost like you're not supposed to have that much Slim Jim in one serving.
Yeah.
I guess you would say like let's say you take a quarter of a regular Slim Jim and a quarter of a Monster Slim Jim. It's so meaty. It's weird.
Well, that's why they probably say like they have instead of saying king size, I think nowadays they say share size. Like it's meant to share with people.
Trying to cover their tracks.
It's like, no, I'm going to eat the whole thing myself.
It's just...
I ain't sharing that with nobody.
I guess what I'm getting at is the texture is weird when it's that level of thickness. I feel like Slim Jim texture works best as thin.
Yeah.
And when you get that thick, you're really biting and you're really feeling that, quote, meat. And it's kind of weird. Like I wouldn't say don't eat it because Slim Jims are wonderful, but this is what we're doing here.
Let me ask you, do you feel like when you eat stuff, do you feel like tired and stuff afterwards?
Sometimes it depends. If it's a bunch of shit.
Right. Yeah. All the time, do you feel tired? After you eat?
No, because I not as much anymore.
Right.
I'm trying to eat a little better.
Okay.
These days, starting to turn things around a little bit at least.
Okay. Because that's
water is a thing I drink now.
Dude, I've actually found I've changed my diet quite a bit, and I feel so much better. But I remember I used to put down 10 double cheeseburgers in one sitting.
Wow.
Slim Jims. I remember I went and saw the movie The Green Mile. I went and bought a whole canister of Slim Jims and ate it during the Green Mile.
Oh wow.
And that movie's 3 hours long.
Yeah.
So I ate a whole canister of that. That probably took 4 years off my life, that one movie. It was a sad movie.
Yeah.
And then I ate all the Slim Jims. It was like a double whammy.
Damn.
So
they have Happy Meals. That was a sad meal.
Well, but to your point, I got it was Slim Jims, right?
Hey, Slim Jims.
But that's the thing. It's I don't know. It's one of those. I have felt when I'm eating junk food, I feel tired afterwards.
Yeah.
And that's why it's one of those things where I'm not coming across. I don't want to come across like I'm judging, but I try to stay away from stuff like Slim Jims because of that. It makes me tired.
Yeah.
It's destroying my body.
Yeah. Well, but
I ain't gonna lie, it is good. It is good.
But it's like you're putting junk into your body. What do you expect?
Here's the other thing too. You drink, right? It's not like I've heard this whole a beer a day, a glass of wine a day.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, alcohol is alcohol. Everyone,
right?
I don't think it's gonna make you superhuman if you have a beer a day.
That's the thing. It's still a very, very mild poison you're drinking.
Right.
Let's keep it real. Yeah.
So, but to that end, YOLO, right?
Yeah.
Somebody
once said everything in moderation, right?
Somebody
probably said it, right?
My doctor, everything in moderation,
just have a Slim Jim every now and then. No big deal.
Right.
And
maybe run and have some water too.
Honestly, I would say drink extra water
and
don't try and stay away from salt for the rest of the the week.
I used to have I had a boss that ate salt at their desk.
Oh,
They just pop. They also one day I saw them like pop in their hand and then just put it in their mouth.
oh,
And I was like, oh my gosh, you're eating salt? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, oh. She's like, yep, I just do it. I'm like, oh, cool. And I left it at that because it was my boss. I didn't want to question further, but I was like, but yeah, it was just a thing she did. And apparently she needed to increase her sodium intake, so she just ate salt at her desk. But I was like, I just threw me off. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Sure.
Like, I mean, I'd just be like, what if I was sitting there with like a fork and knife eating butter?
yeah.
People or sugar. That'd be weird, right?
I once had
But I get it. Totally get it though. People got to do it. People gotta do it.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about that, I was having like a business meeting at my job about like some big print order for a client, and literally the account manager is like sitting at the desk, and he's like, ooh, mayo, and it's a mayo packet from McDonald's. He tears it open and squishes it into his mouth, just not like squirting it in his mouth, but he just kind of like put it to his lips, and I was just like, oh, it's the nastiest fucking thing.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with mayo, but like just like a squirt of mayo, just straight up mayo with nothing else.
Yeah, but like
here.
when you're at like a diner and stuff waiting for your food to show up, you don't eat like the jelly packets.
I drink the creamers.
See,
but I feel like
you're
that's
just
a little
as disgusting as this guy.
I feel
quote
like
unquote
mayo
disgusting.
is like just ugh.
Well, it is like one of the worst condiments you can have. I saw a YouTube video where it had like all the different condiments lined up, and at one end was like vinaigrette. The other end it was like basically, you guessed, it was like ranch.
Yeah.
And lard.
Oh God.
And yeah, exactly what you're
Get
thinking.
some lard on your nachos.
Yeah. But yeah, it was just like it is like the worst condiment you can have. So
wow.
Yeah.
Yeesh.
There you go.
So you heard it here, folks. Put mayo on your Slim Jims, your monster Slim Jims.
Mayo or ranch?
Mayo or ranch?
They're pretty bad.
Inject
they're both pretty
them
bad.
into the. Is there a ranch Slim Jim? Let me check my notes here. I don't see a ranch style. I bet you they tried it or something. Ranch Slim Jims.
Well, yeah. I mean, every company's tried something once, right?
Right.
Like they have their own little kitchen, I'm sure, and develop it. And they're like, ugh, I can't sell that.
Yeah.
Actually, so Iowa, as I understand, Iowa and Minnesota at one point were test markets. And so at one point, if you remember, there was the original Pepsi design from the 80s and switched over to kind of like the blue ice cubes and whatnot on the,
Right.
That was actually first released in Minnesota and Iowa.
Oh.
And then, so I remember like we had these cans of soda, and we had friends, I'm sorry, not friends, but cousins that lived in a state over. We went there, brought the cans, like, oh wow, this is like, we've never seen these before. And they still had like the old Pepsi cans.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those things like, yeah, we had them for a while. We thought it all switched over, but we were a test market. But suffice to say, like growing up in Iowa, we would go to McDonald's and there would be things like a McDog. Like we had McDogs, we had a McJunior, a Big Mac Junior. Those things which you wouldn't necessarily see on other menus, and it's just because we were a test market. So port back here, I have not seen any ranch Slim Jims on the market. But if you did, it'd be in Minnesota or Iowa first.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah,
and if you did, contact us at joshandjoshtalkeverything@gmail.com.
Right.
Hit us up in the hot box.
Hot box.
So yeah, Slim Jims, man.
Slim Jims, dude.
I don't know what else to say.
I mean,
about Slim-
this is your idea, and you wanted to talk about it, and I think we have killed this.
I have one more piece of information.
Oh, God.
There was a fatal explosion at the only
2009,
Slim Jim factory.
yes.
2009. You knew about this?
I did know about this.
Holy shit.
Go. I'm sorry. I cut you off. Go ahead.
That
go
was
ahead.
it. That's all the information I have. There was an explosion in 2009.
Well, can we say something like
in rest
like
in
there's
peace,
some people that
in
were hurt,
memoriam,
right? Like there was like a few people hurt, right?
In memoriam of those who lost their lives, and it's weird. It kind of puts things into perspective of like all the human cost. I mean, obviously, these factories don't explode. People usually don't die making Slim Jims or stuff like that. But it kind of puts into perspective, like the human cost sometimes of just how much it goes into, or how much work is needed to get a Slim Jim into my hands after I buy one at say 7-Eleven. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's what we've talked about before. We have forgot as a society that we actually all work together, and we all need to keep working together, because back in the day, when we needed to go hunt for a buffalo, one person didn't just wake up and go get a buffalo McMac. No, they had to travel some time with some people. There wasn't like a buffalo farm right outside their camp. They had to go travel. Once they got the buffalo down, it took people to carry it all the way back to the camp. And then from there, they broke it down. They used the fur for clothing and all that. A lot of people help out. That's the same thing. We have to think every time and have that gratitude every time you reach that Slim Jim or something, like know that a lot of people put that together.
And keep in mind that what you're talking about, that buffalo, that general concept only basically really ended maybe a few hundred years ago, a couple hundred years ago. Right. I mean, I'm not talking about guys in loincloths. I'm talking about the settlers and whatnot. You all played Oregon Trail. You know how it is. You can only carry back 50 pounds of meat, though. That's the trouble in Oregon.
Or you get cholera.
You get cholera. Dysentery was the big one.
Dysentery is a big one.
Right. I would for the names.
And that damn river. That damn river.
The river. You're going through. Thunk.
500
right
pounds
over.
of meat.
Yeah.
They'd even warn you. You have 495 pounds of meat. Do you want to cross? Hell yeah. Oh, man. I got to go back to Portland now.
And you would lose like every fucking thing. Like I would always think to myself, who the fuck are these people in my party that are so inept that we end up losing like 500 pounds of meat or something?
I know what's weird is like when they showed someone died, they showed a tombstone. Do you remember that? They'd like, Josh died of cholera. Yeah. It's like, fuck you, man. It was like negative.
I would
they didn't have to show a tombstone. It's just like, why not say game over?
Right.
Not have to show a tombstone with your name on. That's like emotionally damaging.
Yeah, they want to memorialize, the party. Like I would use names of Power Rangers, so to be like Trini has died of dysentery.
I never did that. I always use my full name, my middle name, like it really fucking happened. What was I thinking? I should have used RoboCop.
There you go.
I wouldn't have taken it seriously. RoboCop died on the Oregon Trail. That couldn't have happened. The futuristic robot cop in 1800s. It couldn't have happened. Someone laughed. And it makes me flipping crazy.
RoboCop in the 1800s, huh?
Like an old Western.
I smell a reboot.
You got to hit us up in the hot box. What is our email again? Josh and Josh talk everything at gmail.com.
That's right.
Why didn't you do it? Talk everything and nothing.
That's just so long.
You lazy.
Want to save people. I'm looking
lazy.
out for the fans. I know that their time
they know
is
us as
valuable.
Josh and Josh talk everything and nothing. Why would they think?
Well, I mean, you want me to put the ellipses in too, the ... like in the email?
Yeah, actually.
No, I'm trying to save people time, precious time.
Okay.
We're all dying here. Life itself is a terminal disease,
We're burning daylight here.
Or terminal illness, let's say. Life itself is a terminal illness.
Well, life will find a way. Jurassic Park.
Life will find a way, yeah. Spared no expense. Also Jurassic
I'm
Park.
a dinosaur. I'm a dinosaur. I'm a dinosaur. I'm a dinosaur. I'm a dinosaur. There's a new Jurassic Park coming out soon, right?
Yeah.
It's supposed to actually be like the end of the world, like the actual dinosaurs have taken over and humans are fighting back, which I'm like, thank God we're finally doing that movie.
Yeah.
That's going to be a cool plot if they do it right. And if Chris Pratt's not in it. I'm just joking, Chris.
Yeah.
I love you. I heard Kirk Cameron's going to be in it instead, though.
Kirk Cameron. Oh, God. That guy went off the deep end. That guy.
Did he? I heard he's
a religious nut.
People said that just because you become a Christian doesn't mean you went off the deep end.
No, I don't call all Christians like nuts or anything like that. I mean, but he's nuts. That particular
what did he
Christian
do?
is nuts. He always goes on these talks with people like, oh God, what's his name? Well, he goes on these talks about like disproving evolution. He claims that bananas are proof that evolution's not real because you can peel them.
What?
You can look it up online. He gave these like speeches where he had these big big visual aids, and it was like. And he's like, well, why don't we have a turducken or a platypus with with a shark fin? Because his understanding of evolution is so fucked up. Or either he's deliberately misunderstanding it or he's just completely mistaken. He doesn't understand how evolution works, so he thinks he's debunking it by showing, why don't we have a monkey crossed with a fish? Oh, wouldn't evolution do that? It's that kind of argument. Additionally, when he started his change into being a nutcase on the show that he was working on, what was it? Was it
Growing Pains? Growing
Pains, that's right. He apparently found the other cast members unclean and wanted nothing to do with them when he wasn't on screen with them. I'm
gonna just say something that ticks me off because my first crush ever was Tracy Gold.
Oh yeah,
I don't know what it was when they had that opening sequence. I don't know. I had a crush on Tracy Gold.
Hey, everybody's got their first celebrity crush.
Yeah. So to hell with you, Kirk Cameron.
Yeah,
you leave Tracy Gold out of this.
Yeah, I mean he made some really bad religious movies that religious movies in and of themselves. I mean, hey, if that's your thing, go for it. But his it's from a very warped perspective.
Okay.
like there was one called Saving Christmas, and basically the message was the materialism is good because of Jesus. Like that's basically what it comes down to.
That's where like, Alan Thicke should come out. Mike,
right,
dude,
that's a good Alan Thicke.
Hey, well, I appreciate it.
But yeah, so I don't know how we got onto this topic, but yeah, and he himself is nuts. Just
we talk everything and nothing. So, well, I didn't know that. I knew. Everyone kept telling me, well, he's a born again Christian. He's nuts. I'm like, well, just because you're born again Christian doesn't make you nuts. But,
sure.
But now that you explain this stuff, it's pretty out there.
But that's a topic for another day.
It was Slim Jim and critical race theory. We're out of topics today. So, all right, what else you got for us?
No, that's it. Critical race theory, in short. It's not a bad thing. Do your research. Look into it from an unbiased source that's not Fox News or something, or somebody with a specific agenda. Read the original papers. Listen to professors talk about critical race theory. How about that? Like, to anybody who doesn't understand it, listen to the professors that started it talk about it. It's been around since the 80s, technically. Some of it's very heavy and very heady, but you can get... Like I said, the PBS video does a good job of giving you like a 30-minute. It's a Q&A where people just ask questions after she gives like a kind of a preamble explaining the whole thing. Just look at that, and you'll realize this isn't the boogeyman. This isn't trying to tell your kids to feel bad. This isn't going to call you a racist person specifically. I feel like anybody who is so opposed to it because they think it's racist, maybe they've got some underlying prejudices or feelings that they need to address themselves. Because critical race theory in and of itself, it's just history. That's really all it is. It's just the history you didn't learn before. Don't be afraid of it. Slim Jims only eat a few a month.
I'm glad you were because I was like, man, you're gonna give me Slim Jims. Like you had that beautiful like soliloquy about critical race theory, and then I hear we also talk about Slim Jims. So I'm glad you're taking that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I mean, Slim Jims are good. If you do eat meat, give it a try. If you want trashy eats, just try not to eat too many of them.
That's good. I'm glad. If nothing else, I've learned more about Slim Jims today, right? Well, and honestly, even with the critical race theory too, it was I was familiar with it, but it was again, it was a good reminder, and that's something where we should never act like our cup is too full. We should always be learning. Mm-hmm. We've said this message, that is something that you should hold true to yourself. Always be learning, and again, break bread with the enemy, and really get to know. What the other side is talking about. Yeah. And then the good thing about this is critical race theory is not the enemy. Again, just learning about your history is not the enemy. It can be uncomfortable, but knowing your history means you know your past, and when you know that, you can move forward in a different way.
Well, when you know what's going on, you can be less uncomfortable.
That's right.
That's right. Talk about learning new things. Yeah, like Pete, you ever deal with somebody who like seems to not want to learn anything that's not pertinent specifically to their job or what they already have to do to get through? Yeah. And like the idea of just learning something new is just completely, even the smallest thing is just completely like, no, just can't, no, not going to. It drives me nuts. You know that? It's just like, what are you doing, man? Right. I don't know. If you're somebody like that, just fucking learn something new, for fuck's sake.
You gotta be a lifelong learner. Be a lifelong learner.
It doesn't have to be like a whole new language or some massive undertaking. It could be something small. Take an art course. Learn about like an artist you like, maybe. Learn about a musician you like. Learn about something. Go on Wikipedia and hit that random button, right? I used to do this I used to work a phone line job at a large company. In between calls, I would have Wikipedia open and just learn about stupid shit that interested me. Keep learning. What the fuck, people?
Yeah. If you're curious, go out there and learn it. But, what else we got? Anything else?
No, that's it. We tackled an important topic and a not at all important topic, and I like it.
All right. Well, hit us up in the hot box. Josh and Josh, talk everything at gmail.com, and we'll see y'all real soon.
Good night, everybody.